Hey guys, welcome back to Xfix. I hope you're having a fantastic day. In today's video, I'm going to show you several creative ways to make your text on your website not boring. I have seen several websites that look like this, and I have to say, not only does this look very word processy, but it just doesn't look that nice. I would also recommend not having this many words on your website because most people scan websites. They don't actually sit there and read giant paragraphs or a novel. But in some cases, it is important to have long bits of text on your website. But I'm going to show you a couple ways on how I would fix it. Let's start with this section right here. As we can see here, there are three sections that look almost identical, but the text is kind of like the boring side. In the beginning, I'm going to show you a couple simple techniques that you can use, and then at the end, I'm going to show you some more creative things that I would do. But let's go ahead and start with this page right here. The first thing I would say is to choose some nice fonts. By default on the blank Wix editor, they always go with Proxima Nova. However, I'm not a huge fan of that. We could use something like Lato Bold for the heading type, and then for this bottom type, maybe we can use Poppins Light. I think that looks a lot better. But if you wanted to, you could also do something a little crazier. Since this is a heading type, it might be good to just test out other fonts until they actually look nice together. But for this example, I'm just going to stick with Lato Bold. But sometimes, even after you choose some nice fonts, that's not enough to actually make it look professional and look nice. So let's start with the first simple way to actually spice up your text. If we go to Add, go to Decorative, you can pull out these lines. Now this is a pretty simple way to do things. You could add it above, you could have the line in between the heading and the paragraph, and you can even have it at the bottom of the paragraph if you wanted to. This would also probably look really good if you have a button underneath to kind of give it a little bit of separation. I think that looks pretty nice. And something else you could do is turn this 90 degrees. Stick it on the side of the text and make the height the same as the text, and we would be left with something that looks like this. That also looks really nice. But so lines is the first method, but now let's go ahead and move on to the next method. And this one's a lot more simple than you would think. All I'm going to do with this method is change the color of the paragraph text to something a little bit lighter. As you can see, this looks really clean, and this makes your website very scannable. If people care to read, they can, but if they don't, then they get the gist right from the title and they can keep scanning the rest of your site. This is probably one of the more modern web design techniques that I actually love to use. And then last but not least, what we could do is add a little flair to the background, or texture if you will. If we go up to Add, go to Decorative, here we can find some kind of art to put in the background. You could use an icon like this, and then if you press the design, you can lower the opacity and make it quite big and just set it in the background. You know, something like that might look good here as well. Or you can create some dots similar to this right here. You know, just some simple things to add a little bit of texture to that section would help out quite a bit. But now let's go ahead and get into some of the more creative ways to fix it. For this example, let's say we have this giant bit of text here, and we kind of want to go for a more asymmetrical website. So let's go ahead and make this section more asymmetrical. So I'm going to go ahead and add a strip. I'm going to go ahead and remove the background or set it to white. Then I'm going to select this layout and align it to the left. Then I'm going to pull the title into this strip over here, and we're going to make this huge. And of course, we can change the fonts to whatever we want as well. Then for this paragraph, what we're going to do is add another strip. We're going to remove the background once again, or you can leave it. And for the layout for this one, we're going to send it to the right. Now we need to make this one quite large so our paragraph will fit inside of it. But then we're going to stick it to the strip just like that. Bring it up to right about here. And of course, let's also change the font. And now we're left with a website that looks like this. If you want to, you could add another column over here that has an image, but personally, I really like the way this looks. And honestly, if you wanted to, you could also just leave this in the middle. So it just gives this effect right here. Now let me show you another technique that I've used, but before I do that, let's make sure that the fonts are what we want to use. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is let's just make this a certain color. Let's make it like a dark red. And we're also going to make it quite big. For this example, let's go ahead and make it like 100 pixels. And we're going to center it up just right here. Next, let's go ahead and copy and paste it. We're going to bring it up right to where it aligns with the other one. And for this one, we are going to set it to a lighter pink. If you look really closely, you can see kind of like an outline of the darker red from behind it. This is more visible with other fonts, but to prevent that, what we can do is open up the settings, go to highlight, and choose the color of the background. Now this will not work with sections or strips that have background images or videos, but typically it's better practice to have text on something like a solid background because it's more legible. Now let's go ahead and select the top text and we're going to have it fade in. And now this is the effect that we get. But now I kind of want to stick this text right here. We're going to make sure that it's set to the front and we are going to have it float in from the bottom with the animation. Okay, and now this is what we are left with. That looks a lot cleaner than what we had before. But that's basically it for the video today, guys. The whole idea of this video is to help get your creative juices going and hopefully make the text on your website look a lot more professional. If you guys did learn something, please consider giving the video a like and consider subscribing for more Wix content coming out really soon. Thank you all again, and I'll see you on the next one.